Greetings and welcome, everyone. Hey, so I'm coming live today. Thanks so much for joining and for all those who listen to the replay. Wanting to talk to you guys about the standing wave, um, and the energetic standing wave and what it is and um, how it influences us and what we can do to um, bring the medicine and shift the standing waves in our lives and those that we encounter. So, before we get into the dialogue on that, we want to let you know that today, it's this evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, we will be starting our free intro series for the Awakening Your Light Body course. And tonight we're going to be talking about this topic and giving tools to assist those that join us in the class to work with standing waves and also specifically standing waves in their family. So that's what I'm going to talk about today is standing waves in your family, in your family dynamics. And I just noticed that there's a massive glare here on my glasses. All right, so you guys know who this is? This is the OA, the original angel. The OA. Check her out on Netflix. One of my favorite shows ever. Really awesome show, especially season 2. Just muscle through the first episode, and if you're not hooked, you're not hooked. But it's pretty amazing. So, standing waves. So I want to tell you this story. So about approximately 18 years ago, I took my foundational spiritual course, Awakening Your Light Body. I say my foundational because in taking that course, it has become the platform that I stand on, the tools that I use for pretty much everything else that I do. Because what it does is it allows me to manage my own energy. And when I come online or when I'm engaging with clients or when I'm doing speaking engagements or when I'm performing ceremonies or when I'm doing healing sessions for people, and even just having conversations with friends or partners or family members, this Awakening Your Light Body system, the vibrational energy bodies that you learn to turn on and use, are instrumental in my life, in everything, pretty much everything that I do. And so it's become this foundation. And we are going to begin this year's course. We do it once a year. We open it once a year to the next pod of people. And that's going to be starting in September 22nd. So we're doing the free intro series so that you guys can get interested. You get a taste of what it is. If you like it, if you can see that it will work for you, come into the free intro series to check that out. So 18 years ago, approximately, I was involved in the Awakening Your Light Body class in the coursework that we'll be teaching in September. And after several months of being in the course, I really could feel the difference in the shift that it was making in my life, in my well-being, in my attitude, in my emotional experience in my life. What happened for me was it created this sense of well-being. It created this opening for joy in my life. It allowed for me to experience the signature frequency of my own soul at a really solid and consistent level, without the interference of external energies. And it allowed me to come back to my center, that center of well-being, and just super grooviness. It allows me the choice to come back to that at will and in just a couple breaths with just an intention. And so it was a new experience for me when I first started the course, this consistent steady sense of well-being, joy, feeling groovy, in my own being. Up until that point, it was an inconsistent sense of well-being. I had big highs, big lows, and all of the in-betweens. So what was going on for me at the time was that I would be feeling awesome, and then I would go visit my family, which was about 2 hours away from me at the time. And I noticed that every time I visited my family, I would go unconscious. I would go unconscious and I would be behaving in a way that I didn't like myself. I would behave in a way around my family that I didn't like myself. So I remember driving up there one day and creating the intention that today I'm going to stay centered. Today I'm going to hold my ground. I'm going to hold my energetic ground and stay in my light body and not be affected by the family energies that cause me to um, feel not so great inside myself. And so that was the intention on the way up. And I was probably doing some mantras and I was running the energies and everything was great. And then as soon as I stepped in to my mother's kitchen within 5 minutes, I had reverted to um, my to an aspect of myself that I'm not proud of. Okay. So snarky, bitchy, moody, all kinds of negative contracting energies in my own being in response to my family energy. And it was on this particular visit because I had the intention to stay in my energy and was knocked out of it so quickly that I literally had to have a talk with myself and say, like, what is going on here? What is this that I'm meeting here that consistently creates this contraction of my energy and this like reverse or de-evolution of my being? And what I came up with in the investigation, in the internal investigation, was that when I am in the presence of my family, what happens is I unconsciously revert to my 17-year-old self. My 17-year-old bitchy teenager self comes out in the presence of my family. And when I discovered that that's sort of like, oh, that's what this is, it's like I revert to a 17-year-old. More investigation, more investigation, more investigation. And what I discovered with this was that there's a standing wave in the location of the family home. The family home has a standing wave. So when we enter into the family home, we often just get, we just vibrationally align to who we've always been in that space around those people. So there's a standing wave that of energy that expects, and I'm going to use myself, that had been expecting me to act and behave the way that I always had as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, right? Until I left the house and then evolved my own consciousness and my own being, right? But then I would come back into that standing wave of energy and revert. And so it was really illuminating for me to discover this, that this energy wave was there and that it was influencing me in a negative way to be unkind to my family, basically, to be unkind to my family, and a person that I didn't like myself to be. So in the discovery of it, I also had this illumination that not only was I affected by this standing wave, but that each one of the family members was also affected by this standing wave in their own capacity, in their own identity, right? And so mom was always mom. My brother is always my brother. And um and my father's always my father, and my siblings are always my siblings, and they are the people that I knew them to be when I was 17, right? And so I was also contributing to the standing wave because I expected my youngest brother to behave in a certain way. I expected my younger sister to behave in a certain way. I expected my mother to behave in a certain way, my father to behave in a certain way. So I was also contributing to this energetic expectation that these people were stuck in this um, bubble of personality that was created, or what is it? What's the word here for this? They were encapsulated in my mind. They're encapsulated in time and in identity in relation to who I was as a teenager. So the point of this discussion is that there's these energies, there's these standing waves that exist in group consciousness, in group settings, but also in locations where many people deposit the same energetic frequency. So, a really easy one to pinpoint is a standing wave of impatience. There's generally a standing wave of impatience in checkout lines at the grocery store. When you go into a checkout line, if the people before you were impatient and were exuding impatience, then generally when we walk into it as an empath, if you're an empath, you generally can feel, all of a sudden you start to feel impatient when you're standing in line, impatient. And the way that you recognize that that particular frequency isn't yours is because you weren't impatient before you stepped in the line, and you really don't have anywhere to go. You're not in a rush. You don't have anywhere to go. And if that's the case and you're still feeling impatience while you're standing in the line, then you're definitely being affected by other people's energy and or a standing wave. So these standing waves exist in the family, in group consciousness, in the workplace. They exist in locations where things have happened or the same thing has happened many, many, many times. The same energy has been deposited in that location many, many, many times. So these are standing waves to become aware of. So as you are a light worker, as a light worker in the world, one of your jobs and duties as you claim this title is to begin to dissolve some of these standing waves for your own liberation, but also for the liberation of the energy there and all of the people that will pass through that space in the future. Yeah. And so that is what we discover how to change the standing wave, how to alter the standing wave, how to evolve the standing wave, or dissolve the standing wave. So all of these things are what we discover as we awaken our light bodies and we become empowered to be the medicine, to bring the medicine. And so what happened in the case of my own family was, because I had the intention to be at peace, internally at peace, and in my center around my family, I it was brought into my awareness what the things were that were affecting me to not be at peace in the family. So those things got the light of illumination shined on them so they could be seen, discovered, known, and then through conscious awareness, changed and adjusted. Yeah. And so what happened was I had to deliberately not allow myself to be affected by this standing wave. And I had to deliberately not allow myself to revert back to my teenage self when in the presence of my family. And it took a little bit of adjusting because I had to be aware of it every time that it happened. And then I would have to take a break and come back with the intention of being my 30-year-old self, my 35-year-old self, now my 45-year-old self. Now, and just now my present self, right? With my family, and also to look through the eyes of my 45, 48-year-old self at my family and realize that my mother, who is now in her late 60s, is not the same person that she was when I was a teenager, when she was in her late 30s. She's not the same person. My brother, who is now in his 40s, is not the same person that he was when he was 15, right? So these people are just not the same people that they were, even though they carry the same characteristics, they have the same voice, they sometimes say the same things, and they often say the same jokes. They're simply not the same person. However, they could be also affected by the standing wave if there is a standing wave in the family. And so they could also be reverting to those people that they were when we all congeal and come together. And so it's my job, because I claim it as my job, because I become aware of it, and also because I have the tools to address each person as who they are now and be really diligent to see them anew each time that I'm interacting with them. And I'm speaking specifically for my family, but this works for all people, right? So I'm sharing this with you so you can start to see perhaps that there are some standing waves or energetics in your own family dynamics that may be causing you to be less than the evolved self that you have become in your as you've grown up, right? And you may still be affected by some of the family dynamics, and you may be also reverting to a time in your life where um, you weren't so evolved in dealing with your family. So offering those up for you. If you want to explore a little bit more, join us this evening at 6:30 p.m. We are going to put the link in the descriptions wherever you're seeing this live, or in the replay. You'll see it in the comments. So feel free to log on and register. Tonight, we're going to be going over this standing wave. We're also going to be calling in our higher self and our divine presence to bring through some illumination for us in regards to our families or other relationships that may be not as ideal as we would like them to be, and how we can shift those to be more positive, more in flow, more harmonious for ourselves and the relationship, whoever's in the relationship. So we're going to be working with that today. We are also going to be going live again on Thursday. Wait, today's Wednesday. We're going to go again on Thursday night and Friday night this week, the free intro series. And also we will be extending it into next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as well. All different topics, all different days. We hope that you can join us. We are not recording these. We are not going to be sending out the replays for these. They must be attended live if you want to receive the benefits of the free intro series. We super look forward to seeing you all there. Take care, everybody.